Well, here we are in Dublin Airport. We've arrived at the Irish UFO Research Centre, a long time. We've got 3 main interviews to do here. It's very important. We're going to get down to the work. We've got about 3 days of hard work to do here in Dublin. Some important stuff to do. That's it for now. Irish UFO Research Centre 2016 is back in business.
Irish abductee Jerry Battles. In December 2001, Irishman Jerry Battles had contact with extraterrestrial beings. He wasn't able to recall the memories after the event occurred. However, several weeks later, a friend of Jared found his jacket on the roof of the local hospital in Limerick. When he came to ask Jerry how his jacket came to this place, Jerry started to get flashbacks. In this interview, he gives a detailed list of his experiences and an account of an ominous warning, an extinction-level event that is impending on humanity's future.
On the 26th of December 2001, I was out observing the heavens, and it was a beautiful frosty night. We had several nights of frost, continuous frost. It was so beautiful, and the stars were awash in the heavens. But it wasn't the stars or the moon that caught my attention. It was bright, brilliant, bright, surgical white light on the ground that caught my attention. And I went to examine what it was, and I climbed over a gate, and as I got nearer to it, that was all I can remember. The next thing I woke up, and I was in this strange room with about 40 or more other people. I was the only one that was awake. The rest of them were standing still, like they were in a trance. And the man next to me was in his late 60s. He wore a trench coat and matching hat and glasses, and he had a neatly trimmed beard. And there was I was about first in the evening to be collected, because I was in the back row, extreme left, and there was about 6-7 rows of about 7 to 8 people in each row. And there was a good mix of age brackets. There was my middle age and elderly, and the majority would say were teenagers. But I couldn't move. Just my head, I could turn, and all of a sudden I was raised up off the floor, and I just floated out of that room and into this other room. But as I was turning, when I got to the opening, I could see back into the room, and that was when I got the view of all the people, a good view of about how many was there. And when I got to this other place, it was quite dark. And when my eyes had adjusted to the lack of light, I could see there was a giant dome-shaped, huge place, and it was totally glass. You could see 360 degrees all around and overhead. And when I adjusted to the light, I could see in the center there was this giant pole, and then elevated on top of the pole there was this seat kind of a structure about 3 foot, and inside, on the sitting down on this control seat, there was this real extraterrestrial, the real ET as I call him, or her, I'm not sure. But the first words spoken to me frightened the life out of me, because it was inside my head. I jumped, and he says to me, I am communicating directly with your brain. And the first words after that he said to me is, you are not terrified like all the others. And I said, no, I am not. Should I be? And he said, no. And straight away he says, what would you like to see? I didn't have a clue. I was so in awe looking at him, and how ginormous his eyes were, and how big his head was, because all I could see was the head. It was 9 or 10 feet up in the air. And I was panicking at this stage, and all I shouted out was the North Pole. And he gave a command, and like an instant, we were gone through space it was like driving through a blizzard at 500 mile an hour. And I thought of the Star Wars program as a young fella with the zoom. And all of a sudden we were parked in space, and outside was planet Earth. And oh my God, it's with me forever. You could see the planet and the polar caps. Oh, sweet Jesus. It was unreal. I was there and in awe, as I say it. And he started talking to me, and he says, you have come a long way in such a short space of time, but your time is running out. In 850 years from now, a giant asteroid the size of Munster is going to obliterate your planet Earth. This asteroid will approach your planet from the 35th quadrant. Every one of your governments knows we exist, but still they refuse to tell you. We are 400 million light years more advanced than you are. We have been observing you for millennia. In all that time, all you have excelled at are two things: global warfare and lying to your species. You are going to have a global financial meltdown. It has already started. It is the beginning of the end. If you do not change your ways, you are all going to go the same way as the dinosaur. Every one of your governments has been lying to you from day one. They are still lying to you today. You can never trust them. You must never trust them. Every one of the banks has been lying to you from day one. They are still lying to you today. You must never trust them, because they have a hidden agenda. It's not easy for me to put it in sequence, because it's the way things are happening. I don't know. That is the most I can think of at the one time. Then the other things started happening to me, but I've no idea the amount of time that passed in between, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's not easy. But they put this device on my head, and he said to me, in fairness now, they said, it's going to hurt. They offered to put me out. But I said, no, I want to be able to remember it. And he said, but it's going to hurt. I said, I don't care. So they put this thing on my head. And it was a nice snug fit. And it started to warm up. It got warmer and warmer. And it got so bloody hot that I screamed and roared. And I must have passed out, because that is all I can remember. But there's other things then, as I say, they were at different times. He says to me, he says, look out, and what do you see? I says, I see nothing. So he gives a command, and all of a sudden, right just outside, there's other spacecraft around the place, and he gives a command, and they disappear, they reappear, and they keep doing that for a while. And he says, look out over your left shoulder. So I do. And he says, what do you see? I says, I see nothing. I says, again. And he says, he gives his command, and oh my God, off in the distance, I can see it now, a whole section from about 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock of the dark in front of us just opened up, and inside was the biggest, most ginormous city you could imagine. It was unbelievable. There was skyscrapers. There were, it went on for infinity. And I was just there gobsmacked. And after a certain amount of time, it just closed back up again, as if there was nothing there. And there was a great silence after all that. And then I said, what's to become of me? And he says, you'll stay here with us like all the others. And I said, but I'll be no good to you, that'll kill me. I said, I'm a married man with 4 children. I adore my family. I'll be no good to you. And just like earlier on when I said, comes into my head, I said, what would happen, what would you, if you took me back and I could get my whole family to come, and that way you'd have a whole family unit. And I could actually see that he was pondering the question, and he found it kind of. So all he said to me was, I'll think about it. So I felt, well, at least there's something. And he floated on out of that room where we were. I can see him floating away now. There's a cloak hanging down behind him. And I don't know how much time passes, but he says, he floats back in again to this, and he says, I have an answer to your question. He said, okay, we'll give you 2 weeks to get your things in order, but you have to listen very carefully. This is vitally important. All you are allowed to bring with you are the clothes you wear, and under no circumstance whatsoever are you to bring any make, shape or form of money with you. He stressed that point, and I says, okay. So he said we'll have to make arrangements about how many will be coming and so on. So okay, that was it. And there was, before I remember leaving the company of this beautiful species, I pleaded with them to give me something that I could prove to my family that was what I was saying wasn't lies, it was the truth. And this is all he said to me. He says, believe me, they will know. So I said, that was it, like. So I know what it sounded at the time maybe as an insult to them with all their technology. What I said to him, I was sorry for afterwards but it's too late now. When I got home, I've no idea what amount of time passed, but what brought it all back to me was the coat I was wearing, the jacket I was wearing on the night. My brother Kieran, God rest him, he passed away since. And he was visiting Pallaskenry where I lived, just back the road. And he was coming to a funeral, and he came into my house, and my family were there, and he says, is that your jacket? And I says, yes, it looks like it anyway, I said to him. So he gave it to me, and I looked at it, and inside my pocket I had tax forms, or old tax forms, going back to the 80s. And they were still in it. I said, yeah, that's mine. I says, why, where'd you find it? So he says, a work colleague found it, he says, on top of the regional hospital in Limerick. So that was the whole start. It brought all this back to me then afterwards. I was thinking, and I was lying in bed and I was going over it in my mind and over it in my mind, and it came back to me in pieces and dribs and drabs. It took a hell of a long time, and I eventually got to where I am today. As much as I got together, strange things was happening to me that I couldn't account for, and it's unbelievable. All our governments want us to believe that we are alone, that there is no extraterrestrials out there, and it's just mind-boggling, because they are out there, they are real, and now there's other stuff coming into my mind that I left out. In the late 40s, 2 of my species were on a routine patrol. They had a malfunction in their craft and crashed. When we went to recover the craft, we could not find it anywhere. And that is when I said, yes, it crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. They took it to Area 51, miles underground. And this is what he said to me. He said, "You speak from the heart. You are pure of heart." And I said, "Yes, I am." That made me feel so good for him to say that about me, because only God and myself knew that I was the way I was. So I relaxed a lot more. So your governments has been lying to us from day one. They are still lying to us today. And it has got to stop. All the banks has been lying to us. They've been lying to us from day one, and that has got to stop too. They use the people. They create all the misery and suffering and pain and death on the planet, because that's the way they control the people. They rule by creating all this friction and wars. They don't want peace and love and harmony and goodwill to all mankind. Because if they had that, their utopian lifestyle is no more. All this turmoil is in the force at the moment with all the nations. There's 50 million people displaced from their countries and their homes, and half of them are children. That's not the way. We are not civilized. We're supposed to be civilized, but we're not. We butcher and slaughter and rape and murder and kill our own species. We are only one species in this planet. We have different color skin and different religions, but that's nothing got to do with it. That's their own business. This cannot keep going. The banks are making trillions upon trillions in vulture funds, hedge funds, offshore accounts, and it's at the cost of the ordinary citizen suffering in pain, misery, pain and death just to provide for them. Until such a time that we make the proper changes, put the people in place of power that can do things, that has a heart and a soul, and want to live in harmony and peace for all our citizens, because time is running out. 850 years, he said to me, and our planet is going to be obliterated by an asteroid the size of Munster. Our governments will not tell us this because they have plunged every nation into debt for years, generations to come, to pay for their space journeys and their satellites, and they're looking for a new planet Earth. There is so much going on now in NASA and the European space, all together, the two of them. They have between now and 2030, they have 30 odd trips with satellites and other spy to see what's the cause of dark matter and dark energy. They don't know what it is. They haven't a clue. Black holes and all that kind of thing. My belief is, after what this beautiful species ET showed me, that dark matter is an invisible cloak that separates us from their world. Dark matter and dark energy. All the scientists and the experts believe that 68% of the universe is missing because they can't account for it. But it's not missing. Just because it's not where they think that it should be, or it's not created or made up of stars and planets and other stuff that makes up the gases and everything else. They're ginormous cities. There's the dark energy. Can you stop with that?
Everything's fine.
Black holes. It is my belief, or my theory, or whatever, that black holes, they create all. It's in what they can do is unbelievable. They can create invisibility. They have mastered invisibility in everything. Black holes, I believe that it's more than a coincidence that black holes happen to be in the center of every galaxy. I believe that they use black holes for a whole load of different reasons. One is the experts again can't explain entropy, and I believe that entropy in black holes is where all the material, construction material they use to create their ginormous cities like the one they showed me. And that explains, in my theory, entropy. And
what do you know by the term entropy? This is a science term.
Yes, I've been, for the last 6 years, I've been buying books and magazines all about NASA and European space and all that, and I've been reading them over and over and over. And entropy is about all what the dark holes suck in, and where it's going, like if it can't account for it. And only there recently I read that now that the experts again found out that the stuff that's disappearing into the black holes is actually bigger than they thought. Was kind of dust and fine particles and things like that, but it's not. They're actually bigger chunks than what they're made out to be. So that's why I make out that they use the black holes for a whole lot of different reasons. I mean, I was standing there, I was breathing in you know, their air or whatever, and I believe that they can use them for air conditioning and all things like that. And as I say, the real big ones could be used to power up the cities and you know, use them like that. And the cities, when he opened it up and showed it to me, it wasn't like the cities here on Earth that you have all the glare and from the amount of lights and that. It was so soft and pleasing to the eye. I remember thinking, would it be something to do with the size of their eyes? I mean, these are ginormous, huge things, like, and then I said, must be something to do with not to be detected through the invisible cloak, so that we wouldn't see it, like, if you know what I mean, our spaceships and our astronomers and things like that. So that's why I make out anyway. But the experts would probably, you know, say I'm talking through my head. But we'll wait and see or whatever.
Did the being give any idea of where this asteroid's coming from? Is there any way, any information they gave you which we could use to try and do something about it?
Well, the 35th quadrant, I mean, all the guys in Stephen Hawking and all those brilliant people will surely know the 35th quadrant, where it is in the heavens, or you know, and that was all that he said, that it will approach your planet from the 35th quadrant. So there's nothing more I can help there.
Were they able to say anything more about Roswell?
Where?
The Roswell crash.
Oh no, he just did there were, in the late 40s, as I said, two of his species were on a routine mission, and they had a malfunction with their craft and crashed. And they couldn't, when they went to recover the craft, they couldn't find it anywhere. And I said that it took it to Area 51, miles underground, and he said, you know, you speak from the heart, you are pure of heart.
Now, before you had this experience, did you have any interest in UFOs or things like this before?
Oh, I always knew that they had to be out there. They were there, like, you know what I mean, with all these. I was always be fascinated with reading in the books and papers and about other people having this experience or other types of experiences, and taking photographs of strange things in the sky, you know. But all the experts will tell you that it is clouds or weather balloons, and NASA again, of course, with their cover-up and things like that. They don't want us to know, because people would have a belief then that there's something else out there, that maybe there is hope yet, that we would eventually, you know, sort ourselves out and maybe save ourselves. But they don't want to have anything to do with us.
Now, you said,
because of, sorry,
the alien or the being, did it have a name?
No, we didn't. No, I didn't. I faced my fears when I was being taken out, floated out of the first room I was in with the other people. I faced my fears. I have faced my fears. I have faced my fears. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Because going back when I was a teenager, the graveyard is just over the way there, and there used to be big trees and all surrounded. And at night when we used to go to the youth club, we used to be the stories our parents used to tell us was frightening, like, you know. And there was owls in the trees, and we used to run past through the graveyard, 18, 19 years of age, like, you know, and and there were different times, of course, but and on the same on the way home, we used to be terrified. We used to run past through the graveyard. But my dad used to always tell me, or tell us, he said, when he used to have a few drinks, he used to go in and sing at night in the graveyards. And he said you couldn't be in a safer place as to be in the graveyards. But still, we were terrified. But my dad died when I was 20, God rest him. Well, we were very close. And on the last years before he died, I used to walk him up to the pub. The pub was only 100 yards further on than the graveyard, up at the hill here. And I used to go up to collect him. Because to take you 10 minutes to walk up, but to take you a half an hour to come home, like, you know. And sometimes he'd want to go in singing songs to the at the graves, like, you know. And but I used to be terrified. And when he passed away then, I said, I want to go in to talk to my dad. I want to say prayers to my dad. And I said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I have to face my fears. I have to face my fears. So a couple of times I almost done it. I went in a small bit, but no. But this night anyway, I just went all the ways in. I was shivering, the sweat was running down my back. I just kept going, don't look behind you. You know, the fears you say, oh, the devil is in here and everything and all that kind of thing, the stories you had. And I got to the gravestone anyway, and I said my prayers and I spoke away to my dad, and I just came home. It took me about 3 minutes to get to here, and ever since after that, I used to visit on a regular basis at night, and then when I started having a drink, I used to visit more often, and I never sang songs though, but it was as I say, that to the whole story about on the ship when I woke up and going out into this new room, big room, I said the same thing again. I have faced my fears. I have faced my fears. I can do this. I can do this, and that's what got me through it. And it changed my whole life, of course. But now I'm on my own, and this keeps me going. When I was up there, I wanted to be back here with my family. But now that I'm here, I'm on my own. I want to go. I want them to come and take me away again, you know. But I suppose it doesn't.
Do you think that you had an experience a lot earlier but don't recall it?
I don't know. But I've had a lot of things in my life. I was only a pound and a half when I born, and I was in an incubator for 6 months. The doctor said that when he got here, that the mother was in a bad way. I was the youngest, I would say 16 then, but my mum had a lot of children, and she had a couple of infant deaths along the way as well. But and I had pleural meningitis when I was 12. I was messing over across the road there when I was 6, and a big stone fell on my back. I've had pneumonia how many times. I've got to kiss of life once, and so I make out that it was all leading up to this moment, if you know what I mean. That that my God and my guardian angel has been watching over me. Thanks God for that. And I do believe that they're still doing, and this is for this very reason that you come now and help me to do this. It's not for me, it's for the whole world, all the people of the planet, what the suffering they're going on. We are not civilized. We haven't. We surely we're not here for. We're here for more than this. Like, we're not here just to serve those that be at the top, because every one of them, they're all tyrants. They're not. They don't care about you and me and ordinary people, because they're killing us every day. They don't seem to care. They have what they want. They're living their utopia life, and they tell us that, oh, we'd love if we could have a utopian way of life for everyone, but we can't, because that's not the way it is in the real world. But when they're living it all the time, they pay for nothing, and people are bound down to them, making gods out of them. They think they're God. They have the power to give life and save life and take life. So they just don't give two. There's no law there. They have diplomatic immunity. They passed laws back after the Second World War saying that would never happen again, and it's gone worse. We're only 16 years into a new millennia, and nothing has changed. Just like the ones gone before, as E.T. said, all you have excelled at is global warfare and lying to your species. And 16 years into the last millennia, by the way, this is we're still the same. It's getting worse even. So, and is it 50 million people gone from their own countries because of war, created by the powers that be, that supposed to be looking after the welfare of the planet, of the people. They don't care. They know that the planet hasn't long left, so they don't give a flying fickle finger of fate. They're taking what they can out of it. They're using, taking the oil. Now they're introducing fracking. All these things, they want to take everything. They're more interested in mining asteroids and all this kind of carry on, and building hotels in the moon, and sending the rich guys at 250,000 a trip, when people are starving here, dying for thirst, and living on the sides of the streets. In 2016, they haven't got a bed. My God, we're not civilized.
Now, in the craft, I want to concentrate in the craft. I mean, was it a craft, or was it some kind of place here that you could enter again?
No, it was a craft. When the first time he told me to look out, there was a lot of them outside, if you know what I mean.
Could you describe what a lot of them? What did that look like? I know you've done some paintings.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It was. Do you know, like when the airplanes fly in formation, they were clustered together. That it was like that, and.
I mean, how many? Maybe 5 or 6, or.
Yeah, well, there was about that. Yeah, small, but they weren't all over the place, like, you know. But he gave a command, and they disappeared, reappeared, or reappeared and disappeared. They done that several times, and.
How did they do that? Can you describe any shape?
No. He didn't do any. He just said something, like, you know what I mean, and they just disappeared.
No, I don't know what you mean. Could you describe it?
Oh, they were there, and next minute they weren't there, if you know what I mean. And they were there again, and they were gone, and they kept.
Did they blink out or fade out or?
They just like you could do in the television today with the special effects thing. They're just like that. They were there, they were gone, they were there, they were back again, and you know. And then he says to look out over my left shoulder, and he went on to show me the other thing.
Do you have any idea why the hospital?
I have no idea, none whatsoever. As I said to you, I got 2 weeks, but by the time my brother came back to me with the jacket, so much of time had gone by that it was too late by the time I was putting these things together. I used to go out for a drink with my family And I used to be embarrassed because I used to be in the pub. We could be there having a game of pool or a game of darts, and all of a sudden, just like it just came over me, and I'd take the money out of my pockets, I'd leave it on the table, and I'd be walking out of the pub down the main street, down to where it happened, and several times which was then I was putting it all together, that they were showing me, they were more or less telling me, but it took too long. You know what I'm trying to say? It was it hadn't clicked in time. My family they all thought I was, you know, away with the fairies, yeah. And so I wanted to go back again on my own anyway.
I have to ask you, have you had an experience with the fairies? Have you been away with the fairies?
No, no, this is my only, yeah.
No, some people are, that's all.
Yeah, I know, I read the stories there on television about this person that they made a lovely story about, a film about it, and it was so real and everything, like, you know. But no, I'm not saying they're not there.
What
but
about this thing that the machine, or
yeah, it is.
Can you give any more detail, or?
Yeah, when I wasn't lying flat, it was kind of more like a dentist chair kind of a thing, I'd say I was in, you know. When they placed the device on my head, as it was going over my face, I could see into the inside of it, and there was a pattern of a brain, like when you take the brain out of a person's head and you see all the little designs in it, and there was routed pattern on it, the shape of those little segments, and they put it on my head. It roasted my head, and I passed out. But I can see the pattern on it, the marks it left in my hair. It is and there's humps and bumps there, and there's kind of little kind of holes where you can feel it. And at that time, yeah, here on my head, yeah. That's why I keep my hair cut so short, because it grew. It was like crop circle dust pattern on it, like, you know, it was like pats through my hair, and so I just keep it cut so short. And
so, I mean, if you were to grow your hair long
yes,
now, would it leave a pattern to this day?
Yeah, you can see it. Tis short and high, like, you know, it grows long, and there's 3 fingers there, but you can't see it in the daylight. It's mostly at night light, in the you know, say the bulb.
Do you think did they leave anything inside you?
Yes, I have a feeling there is, because there's I can, it's like it's in my head at night time. In the morning, I'd be listening to it. It keeps me. I'd be listening to it, and it keeps me amused. And it also, my whole body. If anyone ever got burned with nettles, and the feeling that you afterwards, that it stays with you, and my feet, my back, my hands, it all gets that way, that burny, hot feeling. And at times I often wonder if I'd catch fire, you know, combustion, whatever you call it, you know. And I could feel the force. It'd be there, and like the other day I was out now cutting the grass, and it was one of the warmest days we had this year, and I was giving thanks to the heavens, and I was offering up. God created the heavens and the earth, all things visible and invisible, as they say, and I'm grateful for Him letting me see some of the invisible things. And I was there saying, use the force, be one with the force, harness the force. It's all around you. It's in everything. It's part of you. You are part of it. Feel the force. Be one with the force. Harness the force. I was there for 4 or 5 minutes saying that, and the center of my hands, the palms of my hands, it's like as if you got a magnifying glass, and like we used to do as kids, burn paper, and it got so hot that I just did that. But when I did that, it was like a jump start that you get in the hospitals with these things, you know. And then I done that, and I could feel the force between the two hands, and they were that far apart, like, you know. And no, I couldn't see. At times I wish that I could, like, you know. And of course that's what comes into your mind, like, where's this going to go? Like, is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? But I've had strange, all different types of. I'd be sitting here at times when I'm on my own, and the feeling comes over me, and and all of a sudden I can get the tingling and the feeling in the hands, and it's like there's heartbeat in 10 of my fingers. I can feel the pulse in each of my fingers, and if I move them a certain way, it gets stronger and it vibrates more. And I do that a lot, and sometimes it gets a hot, warm feeling, but there was only once now it happened, and it was like as if you took them out of the fridge. You could feel the coldness. It was unreal, and I'd bring him to my face then, and I could feel it in my face as well. And but these things have been happening, and I don't know. It's maybe it is something that, like you said, believe me, they will know. Like, so I don't know. Maybe as I grow older, maybe I might be able to do more something unusual or whatever. Like, you know, but one thing happened to me shortly afterwards, that my sister Elizabeth, she had. I've never told this to a living soul. Sorry, my sister was home last week, I told her. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she was only given 3 months. So I came over visiting anyway from my own home, and when she was down in bed, and I said to my other sister, I says, is it okay if I have some time alone with her? And she says, okay. I says, the way I put it to her was, I said, I'm the 7th son, like, you know, maybe I'll try something, like, you know. So I would wave my hands all over her body for a certain amount of time, and I gave my thanks to the Lord, and I asked to heal her, cure her, and she's still with us, God bless her. This is 13 years later. And I couldn't go to funerals afterwards. A lot of people died that I was afraid to go to funerals, because all I wanted to do was to see if I could make them sit up in the box and talk and say hello. And my brother even wouldn't let me do it. I wanted to do it to him before he died. And I've been that way ever since, and it's an awful way to be. I get scared, and I just don't know where it's going to lead to, like, you know. Maybe.
Have you thought of going with your feelings and following it?
Yes, I have.
Go with it.
The little voice in the head. Yes, I have. I know people now that's not well, and my wife actually, well, my ex-mother of my children, our children, she was diagnosed there with leukemia. She's got it all clear, and I said the force is with you and be with you and all that kind of thing. But so please God, you know, I want to do it, but you got to think of how people react, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a double-edged sword kind of a thing.
Well, have you felt that just letting your energy flow, letting?
Yes, yeah, just but by transferring it to them kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Maybe you've got it.
I don't know, I don't know.
Just won't
Yeah,
let yourself do it.
yeah. I do all when I'm on my own, as I'm on my own a lot. I do in bed, and I find I was always a religious person. I was always a pacifist, of course. I hate all types of violence towards everybody and anybody and any living creature. But it has been in the back of my mind a lot lately, because I know people that's not well, and I wonder if I should approach them, you know. So
If you ask them
yes,
for permission, sometimes that can. You just
Yeah.
ask them, "Would you like me to help you?" Or
yeah. That's as much as I often said, we've nothing to lose, so that's the way I'd be. Just the way I'd be telling myself, but again, just to pluck up the courage and go. Like,
okay. When did you first tell your story to other people?
Oh, I went to the Limerick leader in Limerick, and a lovely English chap, he was running it, and he was lovely. Now, he really had listened to me in that, but I didn't have the research done that I have done now, and I didn't quite know what I know. I hadn't put together as completely as I have today, like, and at the time there was an article in the paper. I used to be drinking then, you see. I don't drink anymore. 7 years now after it. But I didn't have the drink problem, but I used to like a drink. But there was an article in the paper, and it was about this teenager up in Galway. I think it was Galway. And there was a device taken out of his head, but the experts said it's not from this planet. But I never cut out the piece of thing out of the paper and kept it. And I tried to go into the papers where you can look them up, but my eyes, I can't see with my eyes, are not great, like, you know. And but I was sorry that I didn't. But then I got into buying the books, as I was telling you, about NASA and the European Space Station and all these things, and the European space, and so I started reading all those things and putting it together, and that's why I came up with what it sounds so like, much like dark matter, dark energy, entropy, the whole shebang, like, you know. It all started to kind of fall into place like a jigsaw. It's like what's falling into place now with the Brexit and all this thing about you're going to have a global financial meltdown, he said to me, and it's falling into place, and there isn't a thing they can do about it. There's forces at hand here, and it's out of their control. It's just going to happen. I mean, who'd ever think that you'd have a president like Trump at the moment? Like, if he gets in, or Clinton gets in, I mean, let's be honest, they're not right in the head, any of the two of them. They're not. So,
How do you? Is there anything that these beings or this being said which could help ordinary people try to make a difference?
Do what I'm doing now. Get out there and do what you have to do. Because if I kept all this to myself, people won't know. They wouldn't know what's going on. That in 2001, right? After this happened to me, in 2002, I was listening out for everything that had got to do with finance in the world that I heard in the news. And the first thing that grabbed my eye was, or my attention was in the States, Wall Street, of course, and you had, I think I know, was it Fannie Mae or something, some bank. I could be, the name could be wrong now, but it sounds like that, Fannie Mae or Sally Mae or something like that. And you had Goldman Sachs and Lieberman's. They were the start. The things was happening then. That there was hundreds of millions involved, and I said, "This is it. It's the start of it. It's happening." But then, come on here. Then flash forward to our own disaster. You had Cyprus, you had Iceland, then you had ourselves, and of course, the banks, the Wall Street, the guys that running these things, they blamed the people for overspending, and but they were throwing truckloads of money to people, like setting it up. It's a whole setup. It's like they showed the carrot, and people swallowed it hook, line, and sinker, and they were being used, and now they're in debt for generations to come. But the thing is, we don't have generations to come. There's only 835 years left, or whatever. The way things are going, it might be less, because you have North Korea now, and again setting up this and nuclear weapons, testing them. So it's the
Were
whole.
you at all visited by any strangers since then, or even
Yes.
before that?
I wake up a lot at night. Last thing wakes me up. Plus my head is constantly racing now. Not like before. It just never. I was an easy type of guy, but now it's in motion all the time. And I thought there was someone else in the room with me, and I could swear that I saw someone. I just said, you mentioned it earlier on. I forgot you mentioned it earlier on. Small people. It's like that there was a whole 3 or 4 of them in the room with me, and I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "What's happened to me?" And but that's only happened once. And
Was that recently?
No. This is a few years ago now. But
You're saying a few years. You're talking about 10 years.
no, a couple of years ago.
Oh, right.
A couple of years ago. But then everything took a whole different view when this happened to me. Nothing was real anymore. Nothing was the same anymore. You saw everything in a different light. If a book fell off the shelf, what the Christ is that like? You think straight away. Are they here? Are they back again? So that's the way I am, kind of a thing now. It's where there's a whole logic reason for these things happen, or whatever. The windows opened, or the wind blew in and blew it off. But that's where I am. You think differently. And
have you had any strange animal experiences, or birds, or anything that, or horses, or any other animals? Have they?
No, I find I'm always out there calling, whistling to the birds and the starlings and the crows and things like that. And they come around a lot, all right. But that's about all. I love nature, and sometimes you think they're answering you back, but it's.
Well, what I'd like to do next is you've done some paintings.
Yeah, I've done a lot of sketches.
Reset, maybe get the paints.
Right. Yeah.
Describe your experience with that.
Oh, right.
Okay, and I think there's something outside. Yeah, go ahead.
There is. Yeah.
Ask
We got
one
Catherine
question.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Katherina here.
Speak close to that.
Okay, Jerry, you described the experience when you've been outside and praising the force. So how did you come to do this?
again, it's like I said, it's what's going on inside my head. It's like the ideas seem to come to me. I don't know from where or why, because I am not the brightest star in the heavens, but I shine from time to time, you know. And but like for instance, in the spectrum of time, the lifespan of mere mortals is but the blink of an eye. That came to my head about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I just jumped up out of bed and said, gee, that sounds nice. I must write that down. So I did. I don't know if anyone else is kind of phrase or whatever, but that's mine. So it just comes into my head, and there's other things there now that lately I've been writing, and I'd be often out cutting the grass or doing things, and gee, that sounds good. I'll write that down, you know. So the things just been coming to my head, like, you know, and hopefully it might lead to some other things, like, you know. But I can't see myself writing a book yet, because I'm not. My spelling isn't great. It's not where I'd like it to be, but I have a dictionary.
And Jerry, you told me before, because we talked before this interview, and you told me that they told you, or this being or ET told you about using the Force. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes. All right. Yes. Unless you use the Force, be one with the Force, harness the Force. If you don't, you're going to go the same way as the dinosaur. If we keep going to the direction we're going in, which is true. If you don't create or do a 180-degree turnaround, that's where you're going to wind up the same place as the dinosaur. But the best way I can explain this, Katherina explained this to you before already, is you take planet Earth, right, and you can imagine it with a giant Rapunzel type hairpiece on it, and the way it has been from day one is every nation on Earth has a fist of that hairpiece, and every individual in each nation, citizen, has a strand of it, and you're pulling this way and you're dragging that way, and everyone is pulling and dragging against each other. But what needs to be done is to wash that hairpiece, fine comb it again and again and again until you comb out all the evil and the corruption that's going on. And when you have that done, you plait it together as one. You weld that plait together as one, and all the people, all the nations come together, work together for the greater good of the one species. We are only one species, and soon to be extinct if we do not come together. Use the Force, be one with the Force, harness the Force. Otherwise, it's lights out, game over.
Okay, well, on that particular point, we'll reset. Okay.
This is the drawing of me inside the dome, and when he opened up the section, it was like inside here was the whole ginormous city.
And what sort of section are we talking about? And you've got that's you on the left side.
That's me, yeah. But this is it's only just an idea to give you, to show the people that.
So that is the blackness of space.
Yeah, the blackness, and he gave his command, and all of a sudden it just folded down like this, and inside was this ginormous city. It was, as I say, it was from 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and it was done for infinity, but that's when I got this view of extraterrestrial.
This is a fantastic picture you've got here.
I was pleased with that one when I found the material. It suited the.
Okay, explain about that.
As I say, when he opened up this section, it let in on the bit of light of what there was, and this was the view that I got from the extraterrestrial head. It was the best view I got in the whole time I was with him. And the skin or makeup is like something similar to a rattlesnake or sidewinder. It's all little circles, and they are black, by the way, and beautiful. And I that's my best drawing.
So it's exactly as they look, exactly as you.
Yes, that's the when I got the light coming in.
So you haven't painted this in black and white. It's because it is like that.
Well, the white background highlights the shape of the
Right,
colour of the
other
head.
paintings to show us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was quite dark, so that's why I couldn't see too well.
Could you point out to some of the detail on that? I see you've got swirls and different designs.
Yeah.
Did you actually see that?
I seem to be getting better at it as the more I do, and it just like all little tiny washers or some kind of effect on them, and it was.
Are these things like ears or something, or?
No, like little tiny washers, but the skin is covered in them, like scales. You know, it's the same type of the rattlesnake or the sidewinder snake.
And this is the mouth and the nose.
The very petite nose, and the mouth is just tiny. You know, a finger is all that would go in there. And they're very streamlined, their face, their ears. They have no sticky out ears or wing nuts or anything like that. It's just a hole with a kind of a little bit of skin kind of indentation around it.
So, for instance, you've got a pattern there. Is that, are those ears or what? Just one second.
Yeah, that's just to highlight the.
Okay, I'm just on that now.
Yeah.
Could you point to that and explain what that is?
This, just a small hole for an ear, but they don't have sticky out wing nut ears like we do. They're just it's streamlined. With the side of their head, like, you know, and it's just there's a little bit of skin, all right. It's raised from around the ear.
You've got other circular areas. Do they mean something?
No, it's just to give it a bit of, you know, added beauty.
And when did you actually do this painting?
This is my latest one now, and I want to do a couple more with more circles in them, if you know what I mean. I have a couple of smaller ones over there.
Okay, well, let's see those. Okay, describe. You've got these magnificent 3 paintings. Just concentrate on those black and white ones. Right. Okay, we're going to do it as I take.
I seem to be wanting to do more and more of these because I think they're lovely myself, actually. But I've been putting these circle things into to give it more.
Now, these are your recent paintings.
Yeah, these ones. Yeah.
What's driving you to do this?
I just want to get him to do him justice, to make him look as beautiful as they look to me. They're unbelievable. And the reason they don't want to have anything to do is because they are a lovely, peace-loving species. They don't want any war. That's why they don't want anything to do with us, because of our.
What kind of height are these? What are the rest of them like?
The only one I remember of height, but I could see no hands or feet. It was when he floated out of the room, and there was this big cloak down to the floor, down to the ground. But it was a nice height. I say it to be about 6 foot, maybe more even. But that was all. Other than that, I'd never seen actually hands and feet or legs or anything like that. But when they were up inside on this seat, kind of control seat thing, I couldn't see anything, only the head above. I was looking up at from where I was looking up. This is the view that I got. The eyes just seemed to be you know, they were going back to the curve of the head but I couldn't see that at the time until they opened up and I got that view. But this was the view that I had when I first went in and was looking up at him.
And this is clearly in colour. Is that the colour they are?
No, they're black, but I just done that for effect again because I didn't. I was only experimenting at the time, to be honest with you. But this is the real. I'm happy with these now, and this is telling as close as I can to what they actually were.
Now, the white section of the eye, is that like a pupil or is it light shine? Is it like gleaming?
No, it's just a glare. You know, the artist.
It's a glint.
The glare. You know.
Okay.
So
it's not like.
No, they were totally black.
Okay.
Actually, when you see the nature programs on television, when you see the koala bear or the go up the tree and their big eyes and they're wet and they look as if they're crying, that was that effect. Like they were so black and beautiful and mirror type. It was unbelievable.
Now, what angle is this that we're looking at? What's this?
This is when I said, remember when I panicked and he asked me what would I like to see, and all I could think of came into my head was the North Pole, and we didn't actually land in the North Pole. This is the view he showed me of the polar caps and the planet Earth, which is unbelievable. Anyone that's the astronauts that's been up there, I'm sure they can understand where I'm coming from. That it's actually beautiful. I was standing in awe looking at that when he told me what he told me. And again, it's just my way of doodling and putting it all down in print and keeping it in a kind of a diary or whatever. And
so when he showed you the other city, this veil that he pulled back, was it like a view screen you're looking at, or
just like you open a curtain and it behind was the ginormous city, unbelievable. And when it closed back up, there was nothing there. It was just jet black, pitch dark, and that was it. And my chin was down in my boots, and I was there gobsmacked. I couldn't, you know. It was, as I said, there was a great silence for how long, and this one.
Okay. What the most important picture here is?
This is the one with the asteroid approaching from the 35th quadrant. Our experts will know more about it than, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say, but I just had to get it down, and that's the best I could do. So,
I mean, these wonderful pictures you've got are just different colours of the same.
Yes, at the start I didn't know what I was doing. Actually, I didn't know how to work out. But then I got better at it, and I got it closer and closer to the nearest possible shape that suited my memory. And that second one there is one of the first ones that I was really pleased with. And as I say, I walked on up to the real black, as they are black in appearance, and maybe that's another reason why they were kept hush hush. They don't want people to know that they're black. God bless them.
Now, you have a visualization there of the other ships. Is that what they look like? The other?
Yeah, there was there were silver. Yeah, and they were more kind of, you know, streamlined than that. But that was my interpretation of it.
And when did you start doing these pictures?
When I stopped drinking.
Okay.
I had to have something to take up my time in winter nights. And
now, what led you to stop drinking? What?
Because my friend, God rest his soul, I used to go drinking. I should never drink during the week, but I used to drink during the weekends, and I used to I'd probably be classed as a binge drinker. I wouldn't go out for 1 or 2 drinks. I'd have to have a gallon, you know, before I'd go to my happy place.
Are you suggesting you would have more than 3?
Oh yes, I wouldn't go out. I wouldn't go out for 3 drinks. I'd never touch the small stuff. I'd pint of Guinness.
You just stuck with the Guinness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was, you were able to stop, this was a shock for you?
Oh yeah, I never had it never ruined my life. I never, when I was working, I'd never drink the night before I was going back to work and that, like, you know. But I used to, Friday and Saturday would be my days to myself kind of a thing, and I'd have a few drinks. And
so did this inspiration come to do this art?
Yes, as I say, when I gave up the drink, which was easy enough to me, and I just had to get something to fill in the time and the lonely nights, and I started off, and I started to see that I was getting close to where I wanted to be, and I'm very pleased with these, and I'm happy, and they're as good as I can get, I'd say. And
because each one of these is remarkably similar. I mean, I think this one with the red one has got different facial features. Is that?
It has. It's just to give it a kind of a. Again, I didn't know what I was doing there. Some of the earlier ones, but it's like I said, with the eyes going up and stopping there is the view that I got when I was looking up, because of the shape of their head. And that's the appearance I got, and
okay. This is our close now.
Right.
What single thing do you want to tell people about this? What's the main thing?
Well, we've been lied to from day one by our governments, every one of them, not just a few of them, all of them. All the banks has been lying to the people, and they've been living high off of it. They've been living in utopia, and they're starting the wars, conflict, spreading hatred amongst the citizens of the planet, so that it gives them self-importance. It makes them look as if we need him. We don't need him. If anything, we can get on just fine without him. But we probably need someone with heart and soul for the people of the planet, for the little time we have left. And believe me, it's very little compared to what the millions of years that's gone by. And if we don't change, we're all going to go the same way as the dinosaur. That's all I'm trying to let people know. And if people use the force, be one with the force, harness the force. There are billions of us, there's only a few of them. So we have to get it right, and we have to start doing it today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, we got to put things right. They're getting together, 200 of them again like they did last year, for another party at the expense of the taxpayers. And they'll live it up, and they'll go back to their jobs, and the same old story, same old ding-dong again. They swallowed it. They believed us. They'll forget about it in a couple of more weeks. They'll think of something else. And that's the way we do it. That's the way it's been happening. We have got to change. And thanks to these people that are helping me today, and hopefully by doing this we're helping all our species. Thank you very much. I love you all.
And thank you.
Great.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for bringing us to this great guy. Any comments you want to add?
No, I'm just glad that you could speak. You know, I found him on the internet actually because of people that came for me for sessions, and I just wanted to have some more information about people who have these experiences, and then, you know, everything came in rolling. It was actually just, I think it's just meant to be.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
Because, yeah.
Good. Well, why don't we go to the main art exhibit of the area over here? And it's on a trampoline.
Yeah, it is the trampoline.
Now, did you use this trampoline to jump up to catch the flying saucer?
No.
I'm having a laugh here.
No.
So this is your art. You would.
Yeah, this is one of the first ones I done, and I just used again. I love I hate waste. I love using things, and the trampoline had spent its life, and so that's what I used it for. I recycle things. And that's
And what better way to recycle than to have this?
Yeah. There was another thing that came into my mind, and I just had, again, recycling stuff. There was things left over from the job in the house, and I just put them into the, rather than have a boring concrete pad, I said I'd put something in to add a bit of
Colour to the house.
Yeah, you know. So,
But this image is clearly very, very distinct in your mind.
yes. Yeah. But I mean, you couldn't forget something like that, could you? You know what I mean? When your whole species is dependent on it, and so what do you do, like? And when you're trying to help,